Coming up, Vice President Kamala Harris visits Gila River. We have the ICT exclusive interview. Plus, Natives in New York promotes cultural pride, catching up with Native youth skateboarders, and spinning records for the people is a passion. I'm Aaliyah Chavez. Join us for these interviews plus headlines from the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona State University welcomes 3,500 indigenous students from Arizona and across the nation. It serves one of the largest populations of indigenous students among U.S. colleges and universities. We created a sense of place for tribal nations to create futures of their own making through community outreach and research, taught by world-class indigenous faculty where they see a reflection of themselves and their experiences. Find community at ASU.
This is the ICT Newscast with Aaliyah Chavez.
Amarawa Hopa, thank you for joining us. We start today in Oklahoma, where the Osage Nation is taking a historic step toward improving services and strengthening its sovereignty. For the last 6 weeks, the nation has been conducting its own census survey. This is the first time the tribal nation has launched this. The census is meant to provide up-to-date information on household members, give feedback on needed services, and decide where future funding should be allocated. Most indigenous nations rely on information from the U.S. Census, which notoriously undercounts indigenous nations. Census information is used for everything, from federal funding to redrawing voting districts. The nation is asking citizens who are 18 years or older to complete the survey, saying the more people counted, the more it will benefit everyone. The survey will be open for Osage citizens to complete until July 31st. Moving to Maine, lawmakers last week failed to override the governor's veto of a bill that would have expanded sovereignty for the state's tribal nation. The law would have ensured more federal laws apply to them. Tribes in Maine are bound by a land claim settlement that puts them on different footing than other federally recognized tribes. Both chambers passed the bill with enough votes to override a veto, but some lawmakers backtracked under pressure from the Democratic Governor Janet Mills. The vote was a setback, but Penobscot Nation Chief Kirk Francis remained optimistic. Moving forward, we will only gain greater support, he told the Associated Press. In Minnesota, Indigenous rights advocates are calling on universities built on tribal lands to begin a restitution process. More than 150 years ago, 11 Indigenous nations sold over 94,000 acres to make room for what is now the University of Minnesota. Much of this information was made public in 2020 through reporting from High Country News. Researchers say the land was taken for a fraction of its worth and started a century-long toxic relationship with tribal nations. Those 11 tribes are now calling on the school for reparations, but have hit a roadblock trying to put a monetary value on the harm that was done. An April report published in partnership with the Minnesota College recommends more Native faculty and giving land back as reparations. Well, Indigenous people in the Andean Mountains north of Ecuador are already welcoming winter. ICT's Vincent Moniz has the story.
On June 24th every year, natives from the town of Cotacachi celebrate the season by dancing in their village to the main square. The celebrations are part of the town's Sun Festival, which they have held for decades. Indigenous people during the Southern Hemisphere's winter solstice honor an ancient Incan sun god with the hope that this year's fruits and vegetables will be enough to feed everyone through the winter. This one-day event marks the end of the harvest season and honors Mother Earth for this year's crops. Members of the indigenous communities spoke more about why they honor the sun and what it represents. Patricio Ruiz says the Sun Festival represents the celebration of the harvest in all communities, giving thanks to the sun god for the food, the corn, and all the grains. Patricio says they represent the livelihood of all communities. And Santos de la Cruz says they have always maintained their culture, dancing and stamping their feet to show their joy and gratitude to the sun, which Santos says gives warmth to plants, humans, and all living things. Though everyone seems to be in good spirits at this year's event, that wasn't always the case. Until a few years ago, these festivities would end in fights between indigenous communities seeking command over the village's square. The flute players and the harmonica players, they stand out in the dance groups. These musicians mark the rhythm while the dancers vibrate the floor with powerful stomping. There's food and drinks for everyone during the celebration, and for those looking for an adult drink, there's chicha, which is fermented from grains, corn, or fruit. And when the Sun Festival is over, most everyone packs up, goes home, and prepares for winter. In Bismarck, North Dakota, Vincent Moniz, ICT News.
And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. The Gila River Indian Community came together to witness a historic moment both in its tribal history and in the greater story of Native Americans and their relationship with the federal government. ICT's Daniel Herrera has this report.
It was a landmark day in Indian country.
Today was like living in two worlds, but on your own land.
Vice President Kamala Harris was received with warmth during her visit to the Gila River Indian Community last week as part of the Biden administration's Investing in America tour.
To the governor's mom and the aunties, hi.
With the smell of fry bread and laughter filling the Gila River Crossing School, for attendees like citizen Ginger Sunbird Martin, it felt like one big reunion.
It's family, so it's like the who's who of Gila River. So you're seeing people you haven't seen in a long time, or your neighbor, or people you've grown up with.
The community gathered to hear Vice President Harris talk about issues Indian country is facing and how the White House is addressing them. From renewable energy and water to entrepreneurship, there was a majority topic people took from the speech.
Now, the overwhelming theme people took away from here was entrepreneurship and the youth.
With Harris speaking about investing $500 million into Native businesses, the community felt supported.
Myself as an entrepreneur within my own community, I thought it was really exciting that they set, amount of money just for entrepreneurs within indigenous communities.
The youth were in no short supply at the event, with some even getting the chance to speak with the vice president. For Sunbird Martin, the visit was an impactful moment for Native youth.
It is about these young people who don't realize what they just encountered, don't realize what they are a part of, and that they will have those moments as they become the leaders that they are divined to be.
On Okima Otum and Peeposh lands, Daniel Herrera, ICT News.
She is the first woman, the first Black American, and the first South Asian American to be elected Vice President of the United States. Nearly 2.5 years since taking office, Vice President Kamala Harris is one of the world's top leaders. I had the chance to center Indigenous issues with her one-on-one. Here is this ICT exclusive interview. Madam Vice President, welcome to the ICT Newscast.
It's good to be with you. Thank you.
We're visiting today on the homelands of the Akimel Altam and Peeposh in Gila River. And this is the first time that a sitting vice president or a president has ever visited this tribal nation. Why is it a personal priority for you to be here today?
Well, at the invitation of the governor, I am here, but this is part of the longstanding commitment I've had in my career, which is to work with Indian country to do what is necessary to strengthen the partnership and address the needs, right? And so being here is an extension of that longstanding work. And in particular, because the governor and what is happening here on this land in particular is some really extraordinary example of how the partnership can look to address global challenges like the climate crisis. So in fact, I don't think you're going to be able to go, but I think there's going to be a group coming to see when we go to see the infrastructure project. Well, President Biden and I have been very proud that we have dedicated $7 billion to Indian country to address water infrastructure. The work that we are doing to, again, deal with disparities also includes acknowledging that for so many people in indigenous people who don't have access to high-speed internet. And so the president and I feel very strongly about that, and we've dedicated $2 billion to what we need to do for Indian country to support the installation of high-speed internet. So these are some of the examples of the partnership, and I do believe it's just important to be present to acknowledge the importance of the relationship.
Under President Biden's tenure, we've seen a very high number of Indigenous people who have been appointed to the highest levels of federal government, namely Interior Secretary Deb Haaland.
Yes.
Do you believe that the Biden-Harris administration is setting the bar for these kinds of appointments? And how do you ensure that that momentum moves forward into the future, regardless of who the next president is?
Well, the president and I feel very strongly that we should not be burdened by things the way they've always been. We should be looking to what should be. And so the fact that Secretary Haaland is the first Native secretary in a president's cabinet is because we believe that representation should occur. It should happen. And so that's the work that we are doing. The work that we are doing in partnership with Indian country, not being about handouts, but about partnership, not about well, let's consult with tribal leaders after we do something, but let's ask tribal leaders to be part of the leadership of an initiative and an innovative initiative. And we feel very strongly that that is the appropriate way to do our work. And I do believe that we are setting a new model for what the interaction and what the partnership should be. Always grounded in full appreciation and respect for tribal sovereignty, always grounded in full appreciation and respect for the need to ensure and keep intact trust and treaties, and to do the work in a collaborative way.
One of the areas of growth is that of judicial appointments. There are not many Native Americans who are federal judges. There's never been a Native American on the U.S. Supreme Court. What can we expect from the Biden administration in terms of judicial appointments?
Well, I cannot speak about any names in particular, but I can tell you that the president and I have been closely monitoring what must happen to ensure that the federal bench reflects the faces and the names and the numbers of all people in our country. And we are very proud of what we have done to accelerate representation on the federal courts, and we'll continue to do that.
I want to talk about a crisis, and that's missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. And you saw this firsthand, both as a U.S. Senator, but also as California Attorney General. What are your thoughts on bringing the much needed relief to Indigenous families that they deserve?
You know, as a former prosecutor, this issue is something that I care deeply about. I have worked on it, to your point, in my past work in California, and I will continue to prioritize it. It is absolutely tragic that we have so many people who have gone missing or have been murdered, and that there has not been a response that is nationwide to understand what is happening and why we must all stand up and say that this is not right, and let's put the resources into it. The president signed an executive order, a presidential executive order on this very issue shortly after we came in office to do just that, to elevate the issue and to elevate the kind of response and resources. Secretary Haaland has created a whole division within the Department of Interior that did not exist before to specifically address this issue. So we are going to continue to work on it. But for the families and for those individuals, it shouldn't be happening. And of course, our prayers are with the families, but we also are putting in the resources to do something about it.
I want to end on, of course, the historic bipartisan infrastructure law that brought record amounts of funding to Indian country. What are you most proud of from that legislation?
Well, the water infrastructure work that we're doing, the climate work we're doing as a general matter. You know, I have traveled around the world as vice president. I have met with over 100 world leaders be they presidents, prime ministers, kings, including presidents and the chair people who are here during this visit. And when I look at the global impact of this issue and the need for us to take it seriously, what I'm most excited about is the partnership that the president and I have developed and strengthened with tribal leaders to work on this. As I said earlier, our indigenous people have been the stewards of this issue for millennia, of the need to protect and honor the natural resources of this beautiful earth. And so I'm excited that through the infrastructure law, we're able to actually put resources into that, like the $7 billion going to the water infrastructure, going specifically to Indian country, to uplift and to praise the long-standing generational leadership on this issue.
Well, Vice President Harris, in my community, we say Naitra, which means thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please join us again.
Thank you. I look forward to it. Thank you.
That reporting was done in partnership with Arizona PBS. A new skate park is open for business in Standing Rock's Fort Yates community in North Dakota. ICT's Vincent Moniz was there.
For many kids living in the rural Standing Rock community of Fort Yates, making their own fun is part of the adventure. One of the cheapest and most healthy ways is basketball and skateboarding, but where to do both is in short supply. So, North Dakota-based nonprofit AU and Montana Pool Service, an organization founded by Pearl Jam bassist Jeff Ament, decided to fix that. Standing Rock citizen and the not-for-profit's co-founder, Billy Joe B. Healer, spoke about the larger indigenous ideas that went into the park.
Our collaboration is based on our indigenous worldview, our Lakota worldview of Mitakuye Yuasi. We are all connected. So we find connections with other organizations that want to share a key message to the world. We are still here, we are thriving, and we want to work with other organizations that have this belief as well.
To bring the project to life, support came from Standing Rock itself, and incredibly, even Nike came with gifts. The community celebrated the opening of their world-class skate park and basketball court with a feed and music. This event also included an opening ceremony, the drum group Lakota Thunder, and a skate clinic. Youth skaters traveled all the way from Blackfeet and Pine Ridge tribal lands to join in and help beginners. Plus, members of the Nike Native American Network were there, including N7's founder Sam McCracken and Ambassador Shauna Long. The net artist and skater Dior Greenwood says skating at the event showed her that anything is possible when a community comes together.
What made me say yes to an event like this is the opportunity to see other leaders creating their dreams and bringing it into reality. Me seeing it firsthand allows me to be the leader I would need to be for my community, and them showing me what's possible only allows me to dream larger and bigger.
B. Healer, an active community member, said a key moment in her nation's history made it clear why Standing Rock youth should be centered and honored.
In 2016, during the No DAPL protests, our Standing Rock youth took the lead, and for them to go out and put themselves on the front lines for all of us, not just Standing Rock, but for all indigenous nations, for all local communities, rural communities, for everyone.
From the Standing Rock Nation's Hakichitahanska district in North Dakota, Vincent Moniz, ICT News.
New York City is home to the largest urban Native population on Turtle Island, but sometimes it doesn't feel that way in the bustle of the big city. The American Indian Community House is working to raise awareness to this issue. ICT's Stuart Huntington caught up with Community House co-director Patricia Tarrant.
So I've been born and raised down in New Jersey, so I've been coming to Community House since I was born. My mother worked at the Community House, and my brother worked at the American Community House, and my sisters worked at the American Community House too.
Tell us about the work of the Community House.
Right now, we are the oldest and largest nonprofit for Native Americans. We've been around since 1969, and we are focusing right now on land back. We want to purchase or have a building donated to Native Americans in New York City and the Tri-State area.
I grew up here in New York City. There's not a big presence of Native Americans in New York City.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm familiar. I grew up in New Jersey, you know, thinking that natives, if my mom didn't know her heritage, I wouldn't know my heritage, just because New Jersey education, New York education, they don't talk about natives as contemporary people. They talk about as past, or they've been here, they've been gone for centuries. But, you know, my mom, she was one of the last fluent speakers of our language, so I'm familiar with, she taught me how to, my culture and my heritage and my traditions. So I'm very fortunate and honored and privileged that she was able to teach me those things, because a lot of people don't know it. And a lot of Native Americans, some of them out here are reconnecting Native Americans. Either they went to boarding school, or their parents went to boarding school, or they were adopted out as a child. So a lot of our community members, some of our community members are reconnecting natives and just reestablishing their culture and learning their ways.
And you think you could do that more effectively if you had a center?
Yes, definitely. I think it's important for people to know where they come from and their heritage. And I think that if we had a space where everybody knew where it was and it's centrally located, that people are able to come and, you know, learn their culture and learn their ways, I think it'll be a resurgence of Native Americans in New York City. You know, New York is the highest urban population with 180,000 Native Americans according to the census, so I think it's important for them to have a place to go to where it's a safe place for them. September 16th, we are having a powwow on Governor's Island. I think it's called Nolan Field in Governor's Island. We have a grant from Urban Indian Health Institute that will help us pay for the powwow, and we are looking at donations to donors, major donors, and we recently are able to hire a development director, and it's the first time that the American Community House can have a development director.
What's your message to New Yorkers?
We're still here. This is, you know, Native country. Everywhere is Native country, and, you know, we're still here, and it's a resurgence right now. You know, they have so many TV shows now with Native Americans. Growing up, there was no Native Americans, only on the History Channel. I think it's a good time to be for Natives. Just even in politics, you know, Deb Haaland, she's Department of Secretary of Interior, and she's the first Native after how many years America's been around, and she's the first in 2023. So,
what else would you like to touch on?
We are actually having a youth event on July 7th, 8th, and 9th. We're having a youth weekend, and we're trying to reestablish our youth council. We have several members right now, but we're just trying to reestablish it and make sure it's somewhere that Native youth can go to and be safe and be seen as Natives and learn their ways and learn their culture. So we work with Columbia students, we work with NYU students, and we're actually working with the CUNY schools. They're establishing a Native Studies program there as well. So we're just working with them to establish that. We met with the City Hall, Department of Cultural Affairs, and so we've had several meetings with them about, you know, just having helping them have us purchase a building. This is we've reached out to them several times to help us. We have an artist residency program out on Governor's Island, and so we have different artists coming out. We have about 4 artists next month coming out to Governor's Island, so they'll be here from July through into August, and then in September and October we have different artists coming as well. So they're mostly there Friday through Sunday, so you're welcome to stop by. It's house number 15 on Governor's Island, so if you're in the area, it's a nice ferry ride. It's like only 10 minutes, not even, and it's quiet out there. You wouldn't think you were in New York City when you go out there because it's so quiet.
DJ Tysky shared his passion for music in Las Vegas last April at the Reservation Economic Summit. ICT's Mackenzie Allen Charmley was there.
My name is Tyler Graymountain. I'm from the Northern Ute tribe on the Uinta Ouray in Utah. And I'm a radio personality and also a DJ. DJ Tysky! I go by Tysky, Tysky Love, DJ Tysky, all those monikers. What got me into DJing was the first time I bought DJ Rectangle, and it was in Denver of '97. Bought his mixtape, heard everything on there, and just fell in love with the sound of scratching, mixing, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Music is one of those universal languages that speaks to everybody. It's just a melody, a sound, something that just resonates into the soul, I guess you could say. Music can pretty much, if you're having a bad day, it can turn your day around just by hearing that one song that just makes you feel good. What mindset I have when I'm up there DJing is that, I want to entertain the best that I can. I want everybody to feel good. If you're having a good time, I'm having a good time because I'm in control and I'm trying to, make everybody have an awesome time, feel good, creating memories. That's what this is about. Res is about coming here, networking, meeting friends, making new friends, leaving with a memory of like, oh wow, I got to go back again next year. All I could say is like, follow your dreams, follow your passions, something you love, follow it. Do what you love to do, Nobody likes to be in a job to where they don't want to be there. You got to love what you do. And that's what I do.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.